The first suggestion is the Japanese suicide forest. This is not the name of this forest. The actual name is Aokigahara. This forest is in the northern part of Fuji. If you don't know Mount Fuji, it's a very famous mountain in Japan. Since the 1960s, this forest has been known as the suicide forest. In this place, 105 successful suicides has happened. And it's also good to know that there was 200 suicide attempts in this forest. The people committed suicide in two different ways. One of them was from a hanging, and the other ones was with drug overdose. Since 2011, the Japanese government had put a watch out from this place to make sure people are safe and are not committing suicide over here. And since then, the numbers has gone down. Some tourists that visited this place, they put motivational placards so people don't commit suicide. And apparently, they're motivational messages for the people. There is a lot of suicides in Japan, but it doesn't have the highest suicide rate. This is the suicide rate map, and you could tell by color. The most suicides are in Greenland and Guyana. Red is up next, like Russia, South Korea, South Africa, and some other country. And it's good to know South Korea has more suicides than Japan. Orange little less, yellow less than that, green less than that, and the lowest rate are the dark green countries. The next suggestion, absolute zero. Absolute zero is the lowest temperature we can reach in this known universe. You might say 0 degrees ain't that bad, but what we mean by 0 degrees is 0 Kelvin. If you want to convert 0 Kelvin to Celsius, it's going to be minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Scientists believe that this is the lowest temperature you can reach in the known universe. Right now, we haven't been able to reach this temperature. And we haven't found a place in space that's this cold as well. And that's minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. But scientists still believe that absolute zero is completely possible in the universe. And there is a chance we could find something that's this cold. The next suggestion is helium. We all know and love helium. It is the second element on the periodic table, and they fill balloons with it. Helium is a gas that has no color, odorless, non-toxic, and one of the cool facts is that it's the coldest liquid in the universe. If you've seen our video about liquid nitrogen, we said that nitrogen turns into liquid at minus 196 degrees Celsius. And you guys saw the liquid, but if you want to turn helium gas into liquid, it's gonna need a lot more than that. The temperature you need to turn helium into a liquid is minus 269 degrees Celsius, and that's pretty damn close to 0 Kelvin, or absolute zero. Humans have reached this level of cold, and we can turn helium into liquid. But where do you use liquid helium? If you remember, some people use liquid nitrogen for cooling off CPUs in a computer. But liquid helium is used to cool off the magnets in an MRI machine. An MRI machine is so impressive that it deserves its own video. The next suggestion is a disease called Behçet's disease. This is a very rare disease, and they really haven't found out what causes it. This disease causes sores throughout the body. It makes your eyes get swollen and turn red, and it creates rash on different parts of your body. There's no way to fix this disease unless you talk to a doctor. And the doctor, with the help of steroids, can help you get better. The next suggestion is green blood. This is another disease, and it's known as sulfhemoglobin. What causes your blood to turn green is sulfur entering your blood system, and the sulfur literally turns your blood into a dark green color. This is a very rare thing that could happen, and doctors believe that if you get this sickness, you shouldn't do anything and wait about 100 to 150 days for your blood to go back to normal. But if the situation is extremely bad, blood transfusion is required. The information we're giving you guys for this disease are very simple and plain, and if you have these issues, you for sure have to talk to your doctor about it. The next suggestion, fluoride, something that's used in toothpaste, and it helps your tooth stay healthier. Fluoride is also found in your water system. Some cities add fluoride to their water, and that helps people's teeth stay healthier. The first government that did this was Nazi Germany. They added fluoride to their water to help people keep their teeth healthier, and the US has put fluoride in their water since 1962. Some people believe that this is bad for you. It makes you lose bone density. It causes your joints to hurt. But a lot of scientists have done research throughout the years and couldn't prove that anything bad happens to you because of fluoride. And that is why fluoride is still found in the water system, and it's also used in your toothpaste. The next suggestion you guys had was cyanide. Cyanide is a chemical compound, and the way it forms is carbon triple bonds with the nitrogen atom, and it's part of the cyano group. But cyanide is meant for killing because it's a very toxic chemical. When cyanide enters your bloodstream, it hurts your central nervous system, and it could easily stop your heart. And that is why it's known as the suicide pill or the murder pill. Some people say Hitler killed himself with this pill, but a lot of others say he shot himself, not cyanide. A lot of assassins and different agents would put cyanide in their mouth when they were doing their operation, and if stuff was going bad, they could just take a bite and they would poison themselves. It's good to know that cyanide is used in different industries as well, like photography, some laboratories, pesticides, and other forms of poison. It's also found in different fruits like almonds, apple seed, peach seed, and other types of fruits. So if someone suffers cyanide poisoning, what should they do? They have to go to the hospital as quickly as possible, because the quicker you get yourself to the hospital, the quicker they can heal you. And something like this is available in most urgent care places. The next suggestion is the Satanic Stonehenge in Georgia, but this is not the actual name. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. The Satan is just a nickname. This was built in 1980. On these stones, there's different messages in different languages about the future. And the message is kind of weird. If you pay attention to the words, it's about like the world ending, and you should do this if it ends. A lot of right-wing people hate this Stonehenge, and the writings on this are evil, and that is why this year in 2022 it was destroyed, but it wasn't completely destroyed. After this happened, the Elbert County mayor said we're gonna rebuild it as soon as possible, and it's gonna get done in the near future. But we got to the coolest suggestion you guys had for us. News about the James Webb Telescope. It seems like we got to it at a good time. We got to this episode and James Webb just recently sent a photo. This is that photo. A giant galaxy by the name of the Cartwheel Galaxy, and a lot of smaller galaxies next to it. Do you guys see the quality of the picture? It's good to know that Hubble was trying for years to get a picture of the Cartwheel Galaxy. But as you could see, obviously it was not successful because this is the only photo we have. And with this photo, James Webb has reached another peak. This galaxy is 500 million light years away from us. After this photo was taken, a lot of scientists said that this is the most beautiful photo we've taken from a single galaxy. This is the picture that the infrared camera of the James Webb Telescope has taken, and obviously you can't see the colors very well. This is like the Milky Way. It's considered a medium galaxy, about 144,000 light years across, while the Milky Way, the galaxy that we are in right now, is 100,000 light years across. Scientists and physicists believe that this picture gives us a lot of hope, and they can do a lot of research on this single photo, and it was years that they were looking for this photo, and finally it came true. But the picture showed them the way. Alright, let's get right to the point. Ninja. The Japanese called the ninja shinobi. Ninjas were the original Japanese hitman, so you could pay them and make them kill somebody. And they did their job very sneaky and perfectly, so nobody would be suspicious. The samurais were pretty much the same, but they took orders from the emperor. They were basically the highest level of hitman. Ninjas and samurais has been in Japanese history since the 12th century. When samurais did their jobs correctly, they would move up in the ladder. And the ones that did their job perfectly over and over would get to the highest level. And it's good to know that the samurai swords, depending on who it was and who was the maker, has very expensive ones. And there's a chance that one sword could cost up to $1 million. The next suggestion we got is the pyramid that's in Bosnia. But some people mistake this for a Croatia pyramid, but the Bosnia is correct. The biggest pyramid in the world is located in Bosnia. It's so big that next to the Great Pyramid of Giza, it's huge. But the Egyptian pyramid is hand-built. This pyramid is nature. But there are conspiracy theories that say, no, humans made these, but the science is covering it up. But scientists say no, this is a mountain that came out shaped like a pyramid. The next suggestion is the Wagner Group. Wagner is basically a private army, and if you pay them, they could start a war. The soldiers are Russians, and there's more than 6,000 commandos on this force. This group has started in 2014, and they've participated in a bunch of wars, like the war against ISIS in Iraq and Syria, and some wars in Ukraine. They say this group gets most of its tasks from Russia because Evgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner Group, is friends with Putin. The next suggestion, Anonymous. This is a group of hackers that basically protest by hacking. Anonymous started in 2003 by hacking different churches. This group only does political activity. They don't really steal from other people. They try to hack and send a message. They say Anonymous is a big fan of conspiracy theories, and they believe most of them. Until now, the US government, UK, Australia, Netherlands, Spain, India, Turkey, Israel, Tunisia, Uganda, and Iraq have been hacked by these guys. The next suggestion, NASA's X-ray telescope. The name of this telescope is Chandra, and it was launched in 1999. It has been 22 years since this thing launched, but it's still active, and it takes X-ray photos. This telescope takes X-ray photos and finds the hot spot of the planet. Like for example, this is Pluto, and this is the X-ray version. This is Jupiter, and these are the hotspots, and it's everywhere on this planet. You might be asking, why does Jupiter heat up like this? Well, you have to know, if you've seen our video about Jupiter, you have to know that its gravity and the movement of the gases on the surface make this planet extremely hot. Jupiter's surface temperature is 426 degrees Celsius. The heat is not coming from the sun, but it's created within. You guys already know that a lot of countries have decided to go to the moon. And you guys ask us, what's the schedule looking like? US, Russia, Japan, Europe, China, and India. They all want to go to the moon. I don't know why people all of a sudden want to go to the moon so bad. Russia is gonna be the first one and wants to go to the moon in just 6 months, meaning by July 2022, Russia will be on the surface of the moon. Elon Musk's SpaceX is gonna be the next one after Russia, and they want to go on the year 2023. But a more complete trip is gonna be done by NASA. They're planning on going to the moon with astronauts by the year 2024. These 3 dates are set to go, so it might be a little back and forth, but it will eventually be done. We said ghosts, jinns, all of them are fake, but a lot of you suggest to talk about them. But we have to say that our 3rd episode of all of your suggestions, we explain this. Another suggestion that we see a lot all over is the zombie disease in China. We have to say that this is all fake, and nothing like this has happened in China. In the world, they call this fake news, and it gets spread out very quickly and everybody starts to believe it. The next suggestion is the Dalton Gang. This gang had 9 members and they were working from 1890 all the way to 1892. In 2 years, they turned into the most famous thieves of all time, and the police were looking for them and they wanted to arrest them. But they successfully only arrested one of these guys because all of the other ones were killed in a crossfire with the cops or while they were robbing a train or bank. And that one person got 14 years in prison. Another question we got is the atmosphere of Earth, and why does everything that enters the atmosphere burn up? Let's start from the ground. When a rocket like this launches to space, it uses most of its fuel to get to right here, the atmosphere. When it exits the atmosphere, it doesn't really need fuel like that because it has entered a vacuum. But inside the atmosphere, there's air, and that air creates friction. And that is why when a meteor is heading towards Earth, all of a sudden it hits an invisible wall of atmosphere, and the friction of the atmosphere starts to burn it quickly. And this is why the return capsule of astronauts are very strong, so they don't burn up in space, because they literally turn red while they're coming back. You might be asking, then what about the meteors that actually hit the surface? These were really big, 90% of them burnt off in the atmosphere, and the rest of it reached the surface. This atmosphere is basically the protector of the Earth. If this atmosphere was not here, first of all, nobody could breathe because there would be no air. Second of all, planet would turn into hell because daily 25 million meteors are trying to hit the surface of the Earth. Just think about it, there's no atmosphere and all of these are hitting the surface. It would be worse than a war zone. Some of you suggested, if it's cloudy, then why doesn't it rain? Then the wind comes and takes all the cloud. What happened to these clouds? If these clouds don't get heavy enough, they do not rain. There's small water particles in the cloud, but the cloud literally has to be heavier so the water molecules get bigger and fall. And that is why if a cloud doesn't get heavy enough, it does not rain. Another question we got is that is 5G signal cancerous or bad for you? It's good to know that we made a video about wireless on Polstick. They've been doing tests on this signal since 2011, and they're trying to find anything that would help us see if it damages humans or not. But they haven't found anything, and if anyone says it, they're conspiracy theorists. And this is the proof. They're still studying 5G, but they still haven't found anything. Some of you asked, if they're looking far, far away, how do they know a certain planet has a certain temperature? The astronomers basically measure the microwave the planet is giving off, and that sees the temperature. Basically, the more compact the wave is, the higher the temperature, and the more spread out it is, the colder it is. In today's episode, the farthest photo the Hubble has taken. What happened to James Webb? The lost city of Atlantis. The history of the periodic table. Black Panther. Did the egg come first or the chicken? 37 years of flying? Who has the most subscribers on YouTube? Who started YouTube and what year? Blue salt. And last but not least, the Afghan treasure. Let's start talking about the farthest photo the Hubble has taken. This is a very famous Hubble photo, you've probably seen it. Each light you're seeing is a galaxy. This picture is seeing billions of light years away. These galaxies are not close to each other at all. Some of them might be billions of light years away from each other. Astronomers say this photo goes back 13.4 billion years ago, and this is the farthest photo the Hubble has taken, and we could say it's the last amount of power it has. But we're all waiting for James Webb, the most advanced telescope in the world. Hubble couldn't go farther than that, but James Webb is gonna go 150 million years before this, and it's gonna show us before that picture, and that's a few million years after the Big Bang. NASA believes that James Webb is gonna see the formation of the very first stars. But this in itself is a theory because we really don't know what's going on back there. We might see some things that we've never seen before. We just gotta wait until it's ready. They say the mirror of James Webb is broken, but fortunately, that's not true. A very small rock has hit the mirror of James Webb, and thankfully nothing has happened to it. It's just out of adjustment, and NASA says it should be ready soon. The good news is that James Webb is going to be completely ready, and the first picture should be posted on July 12th, 2022. In our video about what's under the Sahara, we talked about the Eye of Africa, and a lot of you commented that this is the lost city of Atlantis. What is Atlantis? Was there an actual city like that? If you try to do research about Atlantis, there's a million different things people are talking about, and they are all theories. But when did this story start? The Greek philosopher Plato, in the year 360 BC, he wrote that there is an ancient city called Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean that's underwater. Plato even drew how the city looked like, and it's like a circular city. It's good to know that Plato didn't know anything about the Eye of the Sahara. Not only Plato, nobody else knew about it, because this was discovered in the year 1960 by Gemini 4. You can't see it from the ground. After this was discovered, a lot of people noticed that it looks similar to Plato's drawing. And when they noticed around 6,000 years ago, the Sahara used to be green, a lot of people believe that the Eye of the Sahara is probably Atlantis. But these are all theories. Even though Plato said it, you can't prove that there was a city here. After we started talking about different elements in the periodic table, a lot of you asked to talk about the periodic table itself and the history of where it came from. Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev in the year 1869 decided to organize the elements. He basically organized it using the atomic weight of an element. The first table he made looked like this, which is very different to what we're used to, because day by day, new elements were discovered and they added it and made it more organized. But they still followed Mendeleev's laws and used the atomic weight, and we're gonna continue to make videos about the cool elements on this table. Another suggestion we get is about the Black Panther. This animal is from the jaguar and leopard family, and they named it right because it's completely black. A lot of people believe that this is one of the most beautiful panthers. Black Panther only likes to live in forests. Forests that's close to the equator, and you can find that in Africa. You could find it in Asia, and you can find it in Latin America. You guys see all this land? Even though it's a bunch of land and a lot of forest, but the population of the Black Panther is extremely low, and that's under 15,000 Black Panthers left. But why is the Black Panther completely black? Because the places the Black Panther likes to live is in forests where even during the day it's dark. This animal can easily hunt during night and day because you can barely see it at either times. Like other leopards or cheetahs have to chase down the prey, but the Black Panther uses the element of surprise and doesn't have to really chase the prey. Did the egg come first or the chicken? This is the million-dollar question that everybody has been asking. If you want to talk scientifically, the egg came first. Not the chicken egg, the egg. Scientists believe that the first egg on Earth was found around 340 million years ago. As you know, dinosaurs laid eggs as well. And you could say all the birds we see today came from dinosaurs, and that includes the chicken. The chicken we know and love today came around 58,000 years ago, so that shows the egg came first. We really try to stop talking about conspiracy theories, but a lot of you comment about it. One conspiracy is that the plane that flew for 37 years It's nothing, it's just a bunch of lies. This story started in 1955. They say a plane took off in New York, and after 37 years, it landed in Miami. Does that even make sense? This lie gets passed around so much that it seems legit sometimes. To make it even more believable, they even have fake newspaper writings, and it really looks like an old newspaper posted something like this. The next suggestion is who has the most subscribers on YouTube. The most subscribed channel in YouTube is an Indian company called T-Series, and they post Indian music and movies. This channel has 218 million subscribers, and obviously most of them are from India. But if you want to talk about personal YouTube channels, this guy has the most subscribers. PewDiePie, a Swedish YouTuber, and most of his videos are reactions and video games. PewDiePie has 111 million subscribers. In you guys' opinion, which country has the most subscribers in the world? You might not believe it, but it's India. Because of the insane population India has, YouTube channels in India have blown up, and the top 50 most subscribed are mostly Indians. Another question we get is that who started YouTube? 3 PayPal workers by the name of Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Javad Karim started YouTube for the first time. And the reason was that they were trying to share personal videos with family and friends, and they thought it was easier to create a website. The first video was uploaded by Javad Karim, and it was on the 23rd of April 2005. This is the first YouTube video. It's good to know that Jawad's father is from Bangladesh and his mother is from Germany, and he was raised in the US. But YouTube does not belong to these 3 anymore. Right now, it belongs to Google, and they bought their idea very quickly. On the 9th of October 2006, before YouTube was even 2 years old, Google gave YouTube an offer that they couldn't refuse. They buy the idea for $1,650 million. And you guys know the YouTube now. You can't compare it to anything else. Next suggestion is blue salt. This salt is only found in the province of Semnan, Iran, and compared to other salts is expensive. And geologists believe that this salt formed 100 million years ago, and it comes from a mineral called sylvanite. Some people prefer this salt because not only is it sour, but it's a little mild spicy and sweet. 100 grams of this salt is $20. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the Afghan treasure. This is a 2,000-year-old Afghan treasure that was recently found under the presidential palace in Afghanistan. In the year 2004, they finally bring the treasure out and showed it to the world. But after that, they hide it again, and they don't know where it is right now. The Taliban are looking for it as well. The value of this treasure is not only in gold, but it's the age and history it comes with, because it's around 2,000 years old. The first one is the Caspian Monster, the Caspian Sea above Iran. Don't worry, the Caspian doesn't have a sea monster. The monster was made by humans. In the year 1966, the Soviet Union built this aircraft that hovers over the water, and it was located in the Caspian. When you look at it, you think it's a plane and it wants to fly, but this was an aircraft that would hover at 10 meters above the water and move at a speed of 650 kilometers an hour. Just imagine what would happen to the ships next to it. There was a chance a tsunami is gonna happen. Even though this thing didn't really fly, but between the years 1966 to 1988, it was known as the biggest aircraft ever. And in the year 1980, this aircraft crashed into the water and got destroyed. And the Soviet Union never said what happened to it. The second suggestion is the oldest living person on Earth that has been certified. Because there's a lot of people that say this guy lived to 200 years, this guy lived to 160 years. We're only here to talk about the certified one. The oldest certified person in history is this lady, Jeanne Calment. This French woman was born in 1875, and in the year 1997, at the age of 122, she dies. When she passed 119, she broke the world record. Because before her, the record holder was this lady, an American woman by the name of Sarah Noss. It seems like men don't age as much as women because they're the record holders. But we have to say, the certified oldest man in history is this person, Jérôme Kimura, a Japanese man that aged 160 years, and he dies in the year 2013. The coolest part is that this man fought in World War I for Japan, and after that, he lived for another 100 years. The next suggestion is how we communicate with James Webb from Earth. How does it send pictures? How do they control it from Earth? Very simple. With a radio. You just buy a radio and adjust it. But that was a joke. We meant radio waves. The James Webb only communicates with one spot, and that's the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore, Maryland. The signals that the James Webb sends, this institute captures it and sends signal back to the James Webb. It's kind of like the cell phone you're holding in your hands right now. Cell phones work with radio waves as well. So it has nothing to do with the radio. Radio was one of the first devices that could use this radio wave. The next suggestion is the first multi-cell organism. The first multi-cell organism was this, sea sponge. If you've ever seen SpongeBob, you're familiar with this creature. This creature was found around 600 million years ago. Before this, there was only single-cell organisms. Let's get to the next suggestion. The black hole theory by Stephen Hawking. In 1971, Hawking said in his theory that in the beginning of the Big Bang, there was so much chaos and there were pockets filled with a lot of matter, and it was so compressed that it would turn into black holes. Hawking says the first things that were created after the Big Bang were black holes. He says millions of years before stars, there was black holes. The next suggestion is a comet. Some people call these shooting stars as well, but that's not true. These are called comets. Comets are icy rocky pieces, and when they get close to a star like our sun, the heat makes the comet heat up and the gas exit the comet. And that is why it has a tail. And that's not smoke or fire, that's gas exiting the rock. like Halley's Comet, comes around Earth every 75 years. The last time it came around was in 1986, and the next time it's gonna come, it's gonna be in the year 2061. The next suggestion is the Artemis program by NASA. This project is pretty much the Apollo project of modern times. This program says that in the year 2025, they are going back to the moon. Nobody has been back to the moon since the year 1972. So 50 years after that date, they want to go back. There's a lot of conspiracy theories as well. Some people say they didn't even go back then. But it really seems like they did go, and their number one enemy, which was the Soviet Union, didn't call their bluff or say they didn't do it or it's fake. Some people ask, how can we return extinct animals? Scientists say it has a lot to do with DNA. If the DNA exists, there's a high chance it's possible, but it's not 100% guaranteed. It has a lot to do with the age of a DNA and the condition it's in. So the older, the harder it is. Another cool suggestion is that what does space sound like? These are sounds that NASA has collected from space. Let's start from the beginning of the solar system. After the sun, we have Mercury, and this is how it sounds like. Up next, Venus. How does Earth sound like? Up next, Mars. This is how Jupiter sounds like. Next, we have Saturn. Everyone's favorite, Uranus. And last, Neptune. What do you guys think of these sounds? Which one was the coolest? I think Venus was the coolest one. The next suggestion is by the Nazis, and it's called Lebensborn. The person that came up with this idea was Heinrich Himmler, one of the most important people in the Nazi party. They also call him the architect of the Holocaust. In the year 1936, he said in a speech that Lebensborn is an idea that makes the Aryan race more pure. In this project, blonde-haired people with blue eyes and Germans, and they would make them mate, and they would tell them to start a family like this. Himmler says by doing this, we can make the Aryan race bigger and stronger. When they would ask them to do this, they wouldn't force them, but they would tell them, if you get married and have kids, not only will we give you a home, we will give you all types of things you need. By the year 1939, there was 8,000 Lebensborn couples, and 3,500 of the males were part of the SS Army. Himmler started Lebensborn in countries like Austria, Poland, Norway, Denmark, France, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. But the main area was Germany itself. After the war was over, this project was done too. In Norway, the kids that were born by these couples, the kids were taken away from them, and they would tell them they're racist and are not allowed to raise children. They took the kids and sent them to West Germany so they can get adopted. And the weird thing is, before Germany's defeat, a lot of the kids that were born like this, they were kidnapped. And since they believed they were a pure Aryan, they would take them to orphanages and raise them the way they want them. Well, let's continue. I have some cool news. We have a cool video coming up about finding alien life. This is gonna be a few episodes, and when it's ready, we're gonna upload it one before the other. Like always, we're gonna say the richest people at the end of this video. Just like before, Elon Musk is still in number 1 with $290 billion. Jeff Bezos passed Bernard Arnault and is in second with $192 billion. And Bernard Arnault with $177 billion is in third place. And in fourth place is Bill Gates with $136 billion.